My name is Tom Breen. I work at Yale Press, and I work on a lot of our language book websites and on the Encounters program and its website in particular. So I am going to walk you through the new Encounters site today. I'm going to talk a bit about not just what changes we made, but why we made those changes. I will also touch on the new Kia Online Workbook for Encounters Student Book 1, which is an interactive workbook where students can get an automatic feedback on any given exercise, whether it be fill in the blank or drop down or anything like that. And instructors, you all can track your students' progress through the book, so you can use it either as homework or as a quiz. So my priority is going to be on the new Encounters website, but I will also show you a bit of the Kia workbook. And just how this webinar is going to work, I'm going to be the only presenter. You are more than welcome to write in questions. I see that some of you are already, which is great. There should be a question box on the right side of your screen once you open this GoToWebinar software. So please feel free to write in questions. I will either answer them on the air, or I will follow up with you individually after the webinar. So if you don't get your question answered on the air, not to worry, I will make sure to follow up with you. But I'm just going to focus on the new website right now, and as well the online workbook. So you are looking at the home page for the new EncountersChinese.com. I'm just going to quickly show you what the old site looked like. I'm sure all of you remember this was a site that was built when the program first launched around 5 years ago now. So it served its purposes when we first began with this program, but we really think that we really thought that the website needed a serious update to bring it in line with the kind of progressive, forward-thinking pedagogical approach, the media-savvy and media-heavy content. We really wanted to make sure that the website that brought you all this material was top of the line. So over the past, I'd say really few years, we've been talking with you, the instructors who use Encounters in the classroom, who teach with it. We've been talking with you about what you like about the program, what you like about the website, what needs to change, what can stay the same, and this is where we arrived. So the key kind of goals of this website overhaul are just 3 or 4. The first is that we really wanted to make sure that the website had a fresh look, a fresh design, something in line with the approach of the actual pedagogy. We also wanted to make sure to establish a clear connection between what is on the website and what is in the print books, the student books that you use each day in your classrooms. We wanted to make sure that the website is mobile friendly, so now students and teachers alike can watch all the videos, can listen to all the audio, can navigate through all of the content, all the multimedia associated with the program on their phones, on tablets, on screens of any size, because we know that is a very important consideration for students today. And we also wanted to make sure that right up front, right when you first visit the website, it's very clear what are the different components of Encounters and how they relate to one another. Encounters has a lot of different moving parts, as I'm sure you're all well aware, and we wanted to make sure that both new visitors to the site and people who have been using Encounters for 5 years are well aware of everything this program offers and how they all work together. So I'm going to walk pretty briefly, page by page, through the section of the site that is open to anyone. So this is to people who have not yet logged in, people who have just visited the site for the first time, because I just want you to see what the kind of outside of the website looks like, where we describe what all of the different program components are, that kind of stuff. But then I'm going to spend a majority of my time, where I think you all will also be spending a majority of your time, inside the site. So once you've logged in with your instructor account, where do you access the media, where do you access all of the related resources, and also this is where you're going to direct your students to log in if you want them coming to the site and watching the media either in class or after class. So my priority is going to be on the inside of the site, but let's take a quick look through the outside. So this is the Encounters homepage. You can see up top we have this banner with a snapshot from the Encounters video series, and if you click on it, you will see a pop-up video that will play the intro unit video. We wanted to make sure that the video was right up front, the first thing that anyone sees upon visiting the Encounter site. So if you are ever sharing this with any of your colleagues, anyone who you think would be interested in Encounters, we wanted to make sure that they saw the really incredible video that is at the center of this program. As I scroll down the home page, we have three kind of key buckets of information that we think is are important for instructors upon first visiting the site. And then at the bottom we have testimonials from teachers who have reviewed the program and spoken highly of it. So these three buckets, they all direct to different pages that further explain the program. I'm going to take us to this Why Choose Encounters section, which takes us to the About page. You can see in the menu at the top of the screen, as I move from page to page, the section that I'm currently on is a little bolder, a little darker blue. So you can identify where you're at just based on that menu. But this About page, if you're familiar with the program, then this is stuff that you probably already know. But nonetheless, we wanted to make sure that it was clear exactly what what distinguishes the Encounters program from other Chinese language learning programs. What makes it authentic, communicative, engaging, and I'll leave it to you to read through this if you'd like. And also a link to watch the pilot episode, that same intro video, and to download some of the materials that we have at the front of the student book that explain the scope and sequence of the program. So what does each chapter cover, and what skills are students supposed to be learning? At the bottom of this About page, we have a program component section, which, again, even if you're familiar with the program, I think you might find this useful in that it identifies each key component of the Encounters program, such as the student books, the dramatic episodes, and so on. And you'll find a short description within each one of these little blocks, as well as a link to learn more. So really, if there are any bits of Encounters here that you were not familiar with, this is a great place to start. And then at the bottom, we've got some links to learn more. So I'm going to hop over to the How to Buy page. I think that even though this is on the outside of the site, this is a page that you might find useful, and I think your students as well. This identifies all of the different components in the program, as well as where you can purchase them. So right now, I'm looking at all of the Student Book 1 components. You can see the Student Book 1 cover towards the top of the screen has kind of a yellow glow around it. That means that everything underneath, the rest of this page, all of this content just pertains to Student Book 1. So if you or your students need to purchase one of the student books, one of the actual print books, or one of the e-books, which is an exact replica of the print book, just an electronic version, which is available at a number of different e-book vendors, or the character writing workbook, or the Kia Online Workbook. This is where you can come to, or at least direct your students to purchase this content. Again, I'm going to come back to what the actual Kia Workbook looks like and how it works in a few minutes, but this is where you would come to find out how to buy this stuff. And then towards the bottom of the page, we have some of the links to some of the supplementary material. So this includes the media access or registration codes. So as you know, each student has to enter a registration code upon creating an account on the website in order to actually be able to view the video or audio. We have also made codes available independent of student books. So before, you could only get a code on the inside front cover of a book, and then you entered that code on the site, and then you had access for a year. Now, if your students need to extend access, or if they need to just buy a new code for any other reason, if they need to just access the media on the website, this is where they would go. We also have a character trainer app for both Apple and Android devices. I'll talk a bit more about how that works in a minute, but that is another supplementary tool that we strongly encourage you check out. And then the screenplay, which is a transcript in English, Pinyin, simplified, and traditional characters of the dialogue in any dramatic episode in either Student Book 1 or Student Book 2. So this is the end. The Student Book 2 buy page looks exactly like the Student Book 1. It identifies all the different program components where you can buy it, and then at the bottom we have some information about how instructors can request a desk copy, exam copy, how they can explore the program. But since all of you are already using the program, I'm just going to show you one more page on the exterior of the site before jumping into the actual content itself. And that's this teaching tools page. So we have a lot of video that is not directly, that is not part of the dramatic series that was filmed on location in China. These are supplementary videos. These are videos made by the author, Cindy Ning, that identify teaching strategies, best practices for using encounters in the classroom. These are short videos, just a couple minutes, and they often have actual demonstrations of Cindy or other teachers teaching with encounters in the classroom. This is just a great place to get ideas on how encounters is used elsewhere, and we're going to talk about that a bit more too. But these are videos that are not the content of the program, but rather how best to use the program. And then we also have videos from a previous webinar that we held that Cindy actually hosted. She walked through how to use the student book, the actual text. She walked page by page through the first chapter and talked about each exercise and the motivation behind each exercise, what each one does. So I encourage you to check that out if you'd like to hear Cindy talk about how to use the actual book itself. And then the last page, and an important one on the outside of the site, is this contact page. So if you ever have any questions, please reach out to us through here, or you can send us an email directly at encounters.chinese@yale.edu. If after this webinar you have any follow-up questions, or really at any time during the semester you need to reach out to us, this is the best place to start. So now I'm going to move towards the actual content section of the site, so the actual media that compose the core of the Encounters program. I'm going to click on the, well actually, let me click on Create an Account first. If you're talking to another instructor, or most likely when you're working with your students at the beginning of the semester, students that haven't used Encounters before, each student is going to have to register his or her own account. This account is the gateway to the media on the site. It allows for a year's worth of access to the Student Book 1 video and audio, or the Student Book 2 video and audio, depending on what book you're teaching. So whenever you are introducing the website to one of your students or to your class, please note that each student will have to create an account in order to view the media on their own. So when a student clicks on Create an Account, they'll have to click on the Register button, and then this is the form that they'll have to fill in. Again, a key component is this registration code field. This is where students need to enter the yes. So this is exactly the same process as the old site. It has a slightly new look, but how it works is exactly the same as the old. So just to reiterate how the old works, students will have to enter a registration code, which they can find on the inside front cover of their books, and that will grant them a year's worth of access to the media. They can also purchase codes independently of print books, but they have to do that through the website and through that How to Buy page. as I noted earlier. Instructors, as before, this is the same as before, instructors do not have to purchase access to the website. They can register free accounts. If you're exploring the program, you get a month's worth of free access. If you're using it in your actual classroom, you get a year's worth, and then you just have to stay in touch with us. If you continue to use it, you continue to receive free access to the site. But yes, just again, that is the same process as before. Just wanted to show you what that page looks like now. So I'm going to log into a teacher's account. This is what any one of you will see or should see when you log into the Encounter site now. This is the home page for after you have logged in as a teacher. You can see it looks a little bit different than what you saw before you logged in. So before, if there was a lot of information about what Encounters is, about the various components, we really wanted to make sure that for teachers and students that are already using the program, they do not have to wade through all of that material. They can just log in and get directly to the content. So in the middle of the page, we have links to each chapter in each one of the student books. Even if you are just using Student Book 1 in your class, since you are an instructor who's using the program, you are welcome to view any of the media in the Student Book 2 section. And as we upload content for Student Books 3 and 4, these should be available by the beginning of next year, by January or so of 2016. So that's when the intermediate level should be ready. But as we upload that content, you will be able to view it as well. So since let's look at some of the Student Book 1 media first. So if I click on one of the chapter links, and click on the link for Unit 4, this is what any one of the media pages looks like on the inside of the site. So once you've logged in, once you've clicked on one of the chapter links, you or your students are going to be taken to this page. This is the template that every media page follows. So in the middle, this is the same exact content as we had on the old Encounter site, the original Encounter site. This is the dramatic episode for Unit 4, though depending on what unit you're in, this will display a different video. So in the middle of the screen, we have the video. All of the dramatic episodes have subtitles available. So if you click on this CC or closed captioning option, you should be able to toggle between what types of subtitles you can display. So again, these are options available to both you as an instructor or to any one of your students once they log in. You can expand the video to full screen, and you click on the triangle to start playing. Underneath the video, we have a previous and a next link. And this is something that I think is a big improvement on the old site. These links will take you to the next piece of media, whether it be video or audio, that is referenced in the student book. So if the next video is for exercise 4.3, then clicking on this next button will take you to that video. Same with if you click on the previous button, you will hop right back to the media item that immediately preceded that in the student book. So that's one way to navigate through the content for any given chapter. Another is by clicking on in the top left of the page here, by clicking on the Unit 4 Media button. This will expand to display a list of all of the different audio and video and other media content associated with a chapter. So if you can see that dramatic episode 4 is kind of highlighted in light blue right here. It's because the page that I'm currently looking at has the video for dramatic episode 4. If I click on the link for video segment 4.29, then I'm taken to the video for 4.29, which is talking about languages spoken reprise. And it is the exact same format as the other page. I've got the video, the previous and next links, and then underneath that, I have the text that actually appears in the student book itself. So in the print book that both you and your students have, this is the text that appears next to the prompt that says, watch video 4.29 on the Encounters website. As I mentioned at the top of this presentation, we really wanted to establish the connection between the print books and the website. So on each media page, we have the video, and then underneath it, the text that corresponds to that video, or the text that corresponds to that audio, as well as the exercise number. So this is exercise 4.29, and you can see at the end of this text, at the end of this sentence, we have page number 105. So this page number is an exact reference to what page this text and what page this video is referenced on in the student book. So you and your students can be flipping through the book. You know that you want to watch video 4.29. You can pull it up on the website, and then you'll know exactly to turn to page 105. Just another way of establishing that connection between the two different media. And again, if I wanted to go to video segment 4.18, I'd click on this Unit 4 Media menu item and click on the link, and I'm taken to the different video. So now I want to spend a bit more time on the different options on the left side of the screen here, because these are the resources that are available to you as a teacher, and then some that are available to all of your students that are related to the media that you are looking at. So in this Help Me Plan My Lesson section, just underneath Unit 4 Media, we have links that are specifically designed to help you as an instructor teach with Encounters in general, and this particular video, exercise 4.18 in particular. So the first link is to a lesson planning page. If I click on Unit 4 Lesson Planning, I'm going to be taken to an instructor-specific area of the site that explains not just what the chapter name and title are for Unit 4, but also has the scope and sequence, what we imagine you will be focusing on, what these exercises are designed to impart, everything that is specific for Unit 4 or for whatever unit you're in. So that is the scope and sequence for this particular unit. And then towards the bottom of this page, and we're going to return to this a little later on, but we have sample lesson plans, if there are any available for that particular unit, as well as quiz downloads. These are quizzes that were designed by author Cindy Ning. And if you have any that you want to share, you are more than welcome to send them our way, and we will vet them and post them, as well as links to download flashcards or character writing worksheets. So this is kind of your instructor go-to page for how to teach Unit 4. And again, it is linked to in this Help Me Plan My Lesson section to the left of the video. Now, no matter what video or audio I'm on in Unit 4, I'm always going to see the same set of links. Underneath lesson planning, we have the Realia image bank, which, again, this is content that was available on the old site as well, but we thought we'd give it a slightly new design and make it a bit easier to use. These are images, still images taken from the Encounters program, whether the dramatic series or elsewhere, that you are welcome to download and project or use in any other way in your classroom. So that is the Realia image bank. And then the last instructor-specific resource on the media pages are teaching tips and answer keys. Let me see if I can go to a page that has both a teaching tip and an answer key. Well, let me show you this one first. So this teaching tip, if I click on the link that says 4.18, 4.19 teaching tip, I get a little text box that expands to reveal a few bullet points of information. This information is taken directly from the annotated instructor's edition of the textbook. So again, this is stuff that you already had available at your disposal, but we wanted to make sure to integrate it into the site so that you can kind of access all the different resources from one page. So this is the teaching tip that corresponds to these exercises in the print book. And then if I go to the next page, I remember that this is the answer key that corresponds with exercise 4.25 in the print book. So when you are logged in as an instructor, you will be able to see teaching tips and answer keys for every single exercise in the student books. All you have to do is click on the link, and it will expand and reveal to you what was the marginalia in the print book. Now, working past Help Me Plan My Lesson, there's a student supplements section. This information is available to any student that logs into the site and looks at one of the media pages. So whereas before Help Me Plan My Lesson was just for instructors, this is available for your students as well. So we have links to the online workbook, we have links to the character writing app, and we have links to a few recommended online dictionaries. I'm going to go through the actual online workbook and character writing apps in a second, so I won't show those now. And then the dictionaries, just a list of recommended online Chinese English dictionaries, but you're certainly welcome to use or recommend whatever you prefer. And finally, in this left-hand sidebar, we have a download section. Again, this is some more unit-specific resources. We have links to download each episode or each encounter in the audio program. So these are the podcasts that are narrated by Julian Wheatley. Again, all of this was available on the old site, but we wanted to make sure to make them available as visibly as possible on the new site. So you or your students can click on any one of these links and download the podcast for Encounter 3, for Encounter 5, and so on. We also have a link to download flashcards for any particular units. You can download them as a PDF or as an Excel spreadsheet. This just includes the vocabulary that appears at the end of Unit 4 in this case, or any unit that you happen to be looking at. And then we have also made available for download the rap songs, since we know that students respond so well to these. You can download the audio file for the rap song, which is an MP3, or you can download the lyrics, which is a PDF. You can, again, same with the podcast, you can listen to these on the site itself, but we wanted to make sure that students could also listen to these offline, off of the site. Take the stuff away from the Encounters website and put it on their phones or their MP3 players and listen to it at their leisure. So that is the basic structure of each media page. Again, we have the menu items. We have the Help Me Plan My Lesson section, the student supplements, the downloads, and I've mentioned the rap songs. Let me hop to, there are a few kind of exercise-specific components that I want to draw your attention to before I leave the media entirely. The first is that on the dramatic episode pages, so here I'm on dramatic episode 4, not only do we have the captions, the closed captions available in the video player itself, but we also have the screenplay available for this particular episode. So if you click on Download Episode 4 Screenplay, you'll download a PDF of the transcript again, in English, Pinyin, simplified, and traditional characters of all of the dialogue in this episode. We only have these available for the dramatic episodes themselves, but it's a very helpful resource for your students to read along with as they watch the videos. I also want to show you the rap song pages. So each unit, as you know, has a rap song that goes over some of the key vocab covered in any given unit. And we have made available the lyrics to these rap songs underneath the actual audio player. So when your students come here or when you're playing this in class, you can click on the play button to actually listen to the Unit 4 rap, but then you can scroll down and follow along with the lyrics as you listen. So we have all of the different stanzas broken out. We have each line corresponding to either English or Pinyin or simplified or traditional. So this is just another way to read along with the text of the rap as you listen to it. And a similar concept is true for the vocabulary pages. So if I click on the vocabulary link for Unit 4, not only do I have the audio player, again, clicking on the play button will allow you to listen to the actual audio, but underneath we have all of the vocabulary words and in fact broken out into the different sections, the same sections that are identified in the print book. We have all of the different vocabulary words along with their definitions, their character translations, really everything. So for the rap songs and for the vocab, we really wanted to make sure that that these pages were as helpful as possible to both you as a teacher and as legible as possible to your students when they come here. The last kind of somewhat special page, I just want to make sure that you all know where the cultural bits videos are. It's relatively easy to see in this drop-down menu, but just wanted to click to show you what this looks like. This is the cultural bits video for Unit 4. You'll find links to cultural bits videos for each unit in these drop-down menus. But again, we have the text underneath the video. We have the text that appears in the book that corresponds to the this particular media item, this particular section, as well as the page. So if you turn to page 113 in Student Book 1, you will see the prompt and kind of discussion around this cultural bits video. As I'm moving along, please feel free to write in any questions. Again, I might follow up, or I will follow up with you after this webinar, if not answer your questions directly during the webinar. But please feel free to write them in, and I'll be happy to further be in touch with you. So if those are the media pages, those are kind of the key, the core of the program, the key component. I want to show you also another new development that we're very happy to announce that launched this summer, which is the Kia Online Workbook. We only have the Student Book 1 online workbook available right now, but the Student Book 2 is in production, and Student Books 3 and 4 will also be on their way in the, I'd say, once that section of the program launches early next year. So this page, which is available to both students and instructors, offers a description of what the online workbook is. It explains what some of the different exercise types are. But let me actually take you to the online workbook itself so you can see what it looks like. So if I click on the Login to Workbook link, I'm going to be taken to the Kia page. So this is no longer on the Encounters Chinese website. This is on the website of Kia, which is the company that hosts and maintains this interactive workbook. So I'm just going to preview this book now. Well, actually, let me log in and show you what this book looks like in its entirety. So as we mentioned before, this is a great way to assign homework to your students depending on what chapter you're working on. It's a great way for you to track your students' progress as they work through the book. And it has an online gradebook. It has automatically exercises that offer immediate feedback to students so they know immediately whether they got something right or wrong and what the correct answer is. So I've logged in as an instructor. I can show you how to register as an instructor for Kia, for this Kia workbook in a minute. But first, I just want to show you what these exercises look like. So on the left side of the screen, we have a table of contents that corresponds exactly with the print book. We have the intro unit and then all 10 units of Student Book 1. If I click on one of the units, for example, Unit 5, I'm taken on an encounter by encounter or kind of section by section tour of that unit. So these exercises, for example, this listen and match exercise, this watch and select exercise, all of these relate to encounter 1 of Unit 5. So that particular section of that particular chapter. On any given exercise, you'll find a range of different types of interactions or ways for your students to respond, ways for them to provide answers. For this particular exercise, we have the watch and select prompt. It corresponds to exercise 5.3. And we have a bit of video, which they watch, and then your students must answer the questions underneath. In this case, we have some drop-downs and some checkboxes. And then once your students have filled out any given exercise, they click on Submit, and you get immediate feedback. You can see I performed pretty poorly on this one, but hopefully your students will do better. You can see which questions you got right, which ones you got wrong, and then for the questions that you got wrong, you can see which one is the correct answer. All of this information is also passed along to you as the instructor. So as your students work through the online workbook, you will be able to track which exercises your students are getting right, which they're getting wrong, whether they're doing these on time, and all of that stuff. And I will show you that area in a second, but I just wanted to show you what the online workbook exercises, as I quickly flip through them, what a few of them actually look like. So this is the Kia online workbook. So if you are interested in assigning this to your students, then you'll have to register an instructor account on the Kia site. So you want to click on this Login to Workbook button, and then to the right underneath Buy, which is where your students will go, or preview if you want to show what a few of the exercises look like to any of your other instructors. You want to click on Adoptions and Trials. So this is the form that you as an instructor will have to fill out if you're interested in not only using the online workbook in your classroom, but making sure that all of your students, when they register to the Kia workbook, that they are kind of nested underneath your purview so you can see how they are performing, what exercises they're completing, and which ones they're getting right. So there are a number of different ways for you to set up an instructor account. I think this is the most straightforward way. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly through the Encounters website or through the Encounters email address, and we will walk you step by step through the process. But this is the form that you need to fill out as an instructor. Now, once you have filled out your instructor profile and set up all of your students underneath your particular class, you'll be taken to a dashboard that looks a little something like this. Now, there will be a lot more information once your students are actually registered to the Kia workbook, once they've purchased and registered accounts. But you create you create a class. You can identify what the class is called. You can say which exercises are due when, and how many students. You can see how many students have completed those on time, and how many have not yet completed them. Again, this is on the Kia website, not on the Encounter site, but this instructor workstation lets you kind of track student by student, exercise by exercise, how your class is doing on the workbook. So similar principle with the Encounters website. Instructors do not have to purchase access to the Kia workbook. You can get access to this for free if you adopt it for your classroom, but your students do have to purchase a workbook key. I believe the key allows them 24 months of access to this online workbook. So each key is, I believe, $29.99. So if you decide that you want to adopt this for your classroom, you can either go to the How to Buy page or go directly to the Kia page, and you can instruct your students to purchase access from there. So I'm going to hop over to the character writing section now. So I'm back on the Encounters website. I'm no longer on the Kia website. This is a page that is just an informational page, but it has some key information about our character writing program. So as many of you know, one of the key components of the Encounters program is the character writing workbook. We have one for both Student Book 1 and for Student Book 2. These workbooks walk you and your students through the key, simplified, and traditional characters introduced in any given unit. It instructs you how to, the stroke order, the etymology, the definitions, really everything you'd want to know about each character. So those are the workbooks, and if you or your students want to purchase, or really your students, if your students want to purchase a workbook, you can click on the Purchase Workbooks button. But we also have apps available. We have apps that are available for Apple devices, such as the iPhone or iPad or really anything on iOS. And we also have an app available for Android devices, which is available through the Google Play Store. So these apps, you can click on the video tutorial to see a complete demonstration of how this app works, but it is just an electronic version of the workbook, essentially. It shows you how to how to write each one of the characters introduced in any given unit. It also has a flashcard tool that keeps, it can quiz you on your knowledge of the characters. And it also has a feature that lets students communicate with their instructors, so instructors can see how many characters they are getting right, how confident they are in their knowledge of those characters. I'm not going to walk through that whole app right now, but please feel free to go to this character writing page to learn more, or reach out to us, and we will be happy to give you a demo and show you how to adopt that for your classroom. But each one of these links underneath Character Trainer app will take you to a place where you or your students can purchase the app. The student supplement section, which you can see I'm in the second to last item in the top menu here. This is an area of resources for students in particular. So all of this information will be visible to your students. A lot of this stuff we already went over in the media page itself. So they were available on that left side of the media page, whether in the download section or student resources section, if you remember. But we also wanted to make sure that there was one page on the site where students could go and access all of these supplementary resources that are at their disposal. So we have all of the podcasts, these audio program downloads. Again, this is the program that's narrated by Julian Wheatley and walks you through the various exercises in the student book. We have those for Student Book 1. We have rap song downloads and flashcard downloads, a lot of stuff that we've already talked about. And then if your students have access to Student Book 2 as well, they would be able to download the audio program, the flashcards, all of that stuff. And at the bottom, we have a few more supplementary links, some to the dictionaries and some to a character writing worksheets, which are just blank pages that you can print out and practice writing characters, or a Chinese nicknames table, which is just a list of nicknames in simplified and traditional that the author provided us. So all this information is available to your students. The lesson planning section is available to just you as instructors. So your students will not even see this link when they log in. They will see a link to the FAQ, I believe, but because you are an instructor, when you log in, you have access to instructor-specific resources. A lot of this stuff was already available on the old site. We just wanted to make sure that it was clearly presented and that you knew how to access it and that you knew what each resource was. So we have the unit-by-unit classroom activity planning, which are those lesson planning pages that we went over earlier. If I click on Unit 6, for example, I'm taken to the scope and sequence, to the sample lesson plans if they're here, the downloads. All of these pages are linked to from the media pages themselves. We just, again, much like with the student supplements page, we wanted to make sure that you could get at these pages from a number of different approaches. Underneath that, we have the instructor manual, which is a PDF that outlines a lot of the stuff that I've talked through today, but also just some key teaching tips, some explanations of how to use various components of the program with one another, and just an explanation of the pedagogical approach and intent of encounters. We have links to download the scope and sequence for each student book, so not at the chapter level, but at the actual book level. And then we have quizzes and presentations for both Student Book 1 and Student Book 2. So these are quizzes provided by the author. And for the Student Book 1 quizzes, we have an answer key as well. So if you have anything that you would care to share with other Encounters instructors, please let us know. We'd be happy to make these available on the Encounter site. But right now, these are the ones that we have looked through and approved and know that you will find useful if you use them in your classroom. And then we also have a link to the Realia image bank that has that scrolling list of still images that you can print out and use in your classroom. Finally, underneath, these are videos that we looked at earlier. We've also incorporated them into this lesson planning section. These are the videos made by Cindy or other members of the Encounters team that help explain how to use the program in the class, what are some teaching strategies, and we also have the webinars, the previously recorded webinars, during which Cindy kind of walks through how to use Unit 1. I didn't click on this link before when we were looking in the teaching tips area, but I'll click on it now, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware of it because it's a great resource that we've just added to the site. We've created an Encounters YouTube channel. So this channel, you can access this just directly through YouTube and searching for Encounters. This will have all of the supplementary videos. So not the videos that correspond to any given unit, but rather the videos about how to teach with Encounters, the webinar videos. This is where this current webinar is going to go as well, the character app demo, and as well as any other, if you or your students want to provide videos of you all teaching or using Encounters in the classroom. If anyone, I know Cindy has passed along some videos of original rap songs composed by students that are kind of have the same feel of the rap songs that we use in our actual student books. So this is just where any of the other videos that are kind of on the periphery of the program, but more they're resources. This is where you can look for best practices and for common knowledge on how to teach with Encounters. So that is the Encounters YouTube channel, and really that is the last section of the site that I wanted to draw your attention to. So I know I really appreciate everyone sticking around for almost the whole hour, and I'm going to wrap up soon. But I just want to really reiterate, if there are any questions, and I can see that people have written in a few, I will follow up with those after the webinar. I will make sure to reach out to you personally, and we can talk through any concerns that you have. Let me, and you know what, I'm looking at some of the questions right now, and I see one from Steve, and this is, so the online student workbook requires a separate fee payment. Yes, the online workbook does require a separate payment. It is $30. Again, it's free for instructors, but students do have to pay for access to the book. We are coming up with various different bundling options right now, so students can purchase access to the print book, the website, and the online workbook all at once, and that will be for a reduced fee. But right now, there is just a single fee for the online student workbook, and that is $30. And also, yes, print copies of the book do still include 12 months of online access to the website. The separate purchase is only necessary if you do not have a print book, and or if you have a used book and the code on the inside has already been used by another student. I see a question about the online workbook for Student Book 2. I don't have a specific date for when that will be ready, but I know that is in production right now, and I can pretty confidently say that it will be ready by the end of this year. So hopefully by the end of this calendar year. Yeah, so it should be ready by the beginning of the spring semester, but I'm afraid I don't have a specific date on that. So we will be making available this webinar on the Encounters YouTube channel. We will put up links on the Encounters site so that you can come back to it, or any other teachers that you know who use the program who weren't able to attend, they can watch this as well. So we will make sure that this video is up. And yes, please reach out if you have any questions, and thank you for using Encounters Chinese Language and Culture. We're really excited for this new stage in the program's career, or the program's availability, and we think that this website really suits the program well. So if you or your students have any trouble logging in or finding any particular content, please reach out either through the contact page or to us directly at encounters.chinese@yale.edu. And best of luck with teaching with Encounters this semester. Okay, I'm going to end the webinar now, but again, please feel free to reach out, and thank you again for attending.